Hey fam, it's philosophypanther, and I'm gonna start doing like a Monday, live video on my way to work, right before the work type of thing, so I can explain what I've done over the weekend, and just looking for comments and questions and ideas of how I can improve, or if what you did over the weekend to be a little more productive, etc., etc. So, without further ado, this weekend was dope. It was really dope, actually. It was probably one of the dopest I've had in a long time. Besides getting a fresh cut, nice little edge over here, one of my, I would say, my moral and financial idols stopped into town. The first stop on a financial festival of sorts here in Orlando, Florida. Dr. Boyce Watkins. He stopped through and had a 3-day festival of just financial, enlightenment, if you will. There was good and bad to it. I only went to because of my finances, I could only afford to go to the Saturday evening course. I think it was like $30 some odd. So it made it pretty affordable for me, but I wanted to spend the $200, $300, $400, whatever it was, to get personal time with him and work on some things. But I feel like if I had something more to offer, it would be worth the $200, $300 to meet him personally and sit down and stuff. So maybe next year, or maybe when the All Black National Convention kicks off in Louisville, Kentucky, maybe I can bump into him then, and probably not, though. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of people there. And that brings me to the first thing that was, the first negative thing. There was good and bad, and I want to bring up the negative parts first. The first thing I found was that, Saturday evening, it felt like that was the end of the festival in sorts, because Saturday or Sunday morning was the, private VIP class. I think it was on stock building and stock, the stock exchange class or whatever that he does online, but a personal field. So, it was, it didn't seem like, I guess what they said based on it was more people there that evening than there was Saturday morning or even Friday night, which I can understand. Friday night, something like you're just off work, you just got off the slave plantation, the economic plantation, you're done, you're tired. But I felt like maybe, just maybe, I guess I was expecting more people to be there. Now, being the financial advisor he is, and I'm pretty sure he's great with numbers and statistics, et cetera, he prepared the proper place for the amount of people he probably was expecting to be there. The Royal Palms Lodge was perfectly suited for what he expected to be. Now, from what I understand, when he shows up in Atlanta, they can barely find a place to contain the amount of people that show up. There were more people in the Saturday night class that I've learned, that I was speaking of, that were from Florida as a whole, or maybe, but not really from Orlando. You know what I'm saying? And there were people coming from other parts of the state and whatever. But, that was the first thing. I expected more of us to be there. I do know on the other side of town, there's this Black festival, African festival at Three Masks, which is pretty popular for our city, with the people who know about it. So I guess doing that, you either had to go to one or the other, you know what I'm saying? And I kind of understand that, but this is a 3-day thing. So it really wasn't much of an excuse unless your finances wouldn't allow it, which it's understandable. The second thing was the seats. The seats were so freaking uncomfortable. Oh my goodness, the seats hurt. Now, mind you, that probably wasn't his problem or his fault, but sitting there to watch a film, which was very educational, and sitting there to listen to him speak about, pushing, forward, making you turn your kids into millionaires was well worth the amount of pain I had to endure from my butt. The good things, very good things, which in fact, it was very personal. There was a white boy that showed up to the course to the day that night. But he came in there with like a duffel bag, which made a lot of people uncomfortable. You know what the cool thing was? I think he felt like he was trying not to disrespect them, but at the same time he had to check for his people, and he pointed them out and said, "Hey, look, we had our first white boy or white guy," whatever he said. It was really cool. He says, "Thank you for coming in," this, that, and the third. That was kind of like a mental check for him. Like, boom, I see you. Thanks for coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the black folks in the room were like, thanks for showing that. Appreciate you pointing that out. As the movie started, I noticed the boy moved from the back of the room to the front of the room, still with that big heavy bag. So, a lot of us were thinking already like, oh crap, this is going to be, Charleston, North Carolina or something, like the church or whatever. I hope this ain't how I'm going to meet my end, because it's kind of, strange. But here's the funny thing. Most agents of white supremacy, the agents, the actual ones that are actual agents, not just the people who are suspected or actual white supremacists, but the actual agents are usually black. They're the ones in your own community that kind of, slither their way in and get there so they can, tell white massa what's going on, and separate that whole concept of togetherness, and, it was cool because he was so much like myself. He was like, look, I don't dislike white people. They're cool. I just like my people better. There's nothing wrong with that. Asian people love their people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He goes, Jewish people definitely love their own people. What's wrong with loving your own people? It's just that once it comes to finance, that's when people want to get sticky. Like, oh, you only want to spend with your people all of a sudden. You've been giving us all your money for years. Now you want to spend money with you. So he did point that out, pointed out the guy, and then later on he disappeared. I don't know, maybe he felt weird, but he was an ex-con, and he was just, maybe he was, he said his boss was black, and he just wanted to learn a lot of things about, the person he worked for, and how to, financially do this, that, and the third. And I was like, well, that's good. He took his money anyway. All the money's green, so I was down for that. And then he went on to talk about some serious things about, I was there in time to turn my kids into millionaires type of deal. And I kind of I utilized that information. And I'm going to make a longer video about everything that I gathered. It's in this little notebook here. Tons of pages of just writing about information about how to, create a business, grow your business. If you fail at that business, how to start back over, how to turn your kids into money-making machines, and the idea, the concept of money for them should be ingrained in their head by 12, etc., etc., etc. Some of the finer points of some of the people that was helping him, there was this all-black staff that was helping him. Some of the women were just bad. Oh my God. There was some fine. I think his manager is drop dead gorgeous. In person, he's really funny. He looks a little thinner. You know how people look fatter or weird in person? He looks a little bit thinner in person, actually. And I purposely was the last one in line, one of the last ones in line, actually, to meet him after the show, or after the whole gig and everything. Sorry. And, for him to remember that he put one of my videos up on his YouTube channel about me ranting about what it is to be a real man and how to get there was just, that was everything for me. You know what I'm saying? So, I copped some of those flashcards. I know he made some money off me, and I'd rather give it to someone black than anything. But it wasn't one of those rich, poor dad, what was it, rich dad, poor dad ceremonies. Like, it didn't feel like a sermon. It didn't feel like I was in church and about to fall asleep. Like, you need the choir. I believe that's the reason why you need the choir in church, so you don't fall asleep. But, it was so much information, and it felt like for what I paid for, I think like he gave more than what I paid for. And I believe if that's the way it's going to be, like, I'll be satisfied to definitely see him in Louisville, Kentucky. And I hope some of you guys will come out with me. I think I'm going to try to put together a team, and maybe we can make this cost efficient for a bunch of us here in Central Florida. I'll let you guys know about that in the next video, where I'm going to go through some of the stuff that I learned in greater detail. I just wanted you guys to get a general feel. There was definitely a positive vibe coming off of him. Like, you can feel like he generally gives a damn about black people, very much like you and I do, I'm pretty sure. So with that being said, I got to clock in on the plantation. It sucks, but one day I'll have to I can look at this clock and realize that, I don't have to get up here and do this anymore. In the meantime, you guys, I say it in there, all my videos, and I'm gonna break, you know what? Think, Act, Buy Black is not just a tagline to close out a video. It really, really isn't. It's a mindset. It's a difficult one because everything around you is so Eurocentric. Unless you've centered yourself around a group, an organization, or a community that is completely black, it's very, very difficult to think, act, and buy black. But I found that if you do it more often, it becomes easier. Just like doing anything else, you're learning how to do anything else, tying your shoes, reading books, working, perfecting your craft. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to really think about it. Even if you can't do it every day, if you can't do it every week, at least once a month, think, act, and buy black. I love you guys. I'll be sending you a better video later, getting in depth with what I learned. Good luck on the plantation today.